right. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Isa, and I'm with SHRDC, and I, together with my colleague Yilin, will be your moderators for today. Before we begin, just going to go through a quick housekeeping check. The microphones for all the participants in this session are muted. And unfortunately, due to our constraint on time, the raise hand reaction during the webinar will not be attended. But if you do have any general questions, please type them in the chat box. There will be some light activities during the session, so please utilize the chat box when and if prompted. And if you have any questions regarding the topic of today's session, you can type your questions in the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen. We will address the questions at the end of the session. This session will take about 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah, thank you. All right, I'd like to begin with a short introduction of our presenter today. Ms. Meenakshi has been in corporate and public training since 2011 and has trained a variety of programs to various audiences in multiple countries. She believes that people learn best through practice. She brings to her sessions hands-on activities and experiences that participants can relate to and take back to use in their daily life. She's also founding partner and manager of The Change Business, which is a partner of SHRDC since 2013. Together, we deliver a series of leadership, change management, and motivational programs for Malaysia and across Asia. And today we will be looking at how to find and choose positivity in today's increasing pressure and stressful times. Without further ado, I'd like to hand over the session to Meenakshi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isa. Give me a moment, ladies and gentlemen, while I share my screen. Okay, there we go. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this webinar, a short webinar on choosing positivity in stressful times, because we are living in rather unusual times, don't you think? If we just step back into the past, maybe not even too far, just December 2019, then my hunch is that your future looked quite bright. In fact, if I was to think about our future, then in December 2019, this is how 2020 looked like. We had some good sales. We had workshops booked. We had clients we were speaking to. And, everything else actually, family was doing well. And I even had a holiday planned for March that I was really looking forward to. And then this happened. And suddenly, with COVID-19 and MCO or lockdown or circuit breaker, whatever you call it, our world has shrunk to this little screen, the laptop screen, interacting with many other screens in many other houses, because guess what? We are all working from home. So we have our family with us, whether it's kids, parents, roommates, there are many people in the house with us, and we are all trying to, in this merged world, live together and work together. This is also where we have our me time. And all of this, it's no surprise that the picture is blurred. It's no surprise that it could cause us some stress. It could cause us to have negative emotions. We're also dealing with some really big challenges. Many of us are facing lower incomes, facing the fact that we might be looking at different ways at how we work. So it is a challenging time for us. And in this time, it's sometimes difficult to be positive. In fact, to be positive takes time, takes effort on our part. We are the ones that need to consciously hit the pause button and help ourselves move into a more positive state. And you might have this question, and you might even have team members who are asking you this question, that, at this moment, when I don't even have time to go to the toilet, how do you expect me to spend time and effort on positivity? So that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're going to be looking at in today's session. We're going to be looking at why we should be paying attention to positivity, what is positivity, And how can we be more positive? I'm going to be sharing with you 3 practices that you can start from today. And the more you practice, the more they become habits, the more positive you will be able to be. So, why do we need positivity in these times? Well, let's look at what happens when we have stress in our lives. Here's the thing, stress drains energy. I'm sure you've had occasions in your life when you realize that even physically you're feeling less energetic, and that's because of stress. Stress drains energy. Also, there's an interesting relationship between stress and something else. When stress goes up, something else goes down. Do you know what it is? It's intelligence. When we are stressed, then sometimes we say things and we do things that might not be what we say and do when we are not stressed. We make mistakes, whether it's at work or in the way we interact with people. And we don't want that happening. We want to keep our stress low so that our intelligence can stay high. I mean, I know for myself, and I'm sure you have instances where you've done things like that when you're stressed. I mean, actually, if you ask my husband, he'll tell you that. And finally, when you're stressed, then you don't have the energy to serve others. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you don't have resources, if you don't have energy yourself, how are you going to be able to serve others? So the time for us to be looking at positivity is right now when we are stressed, because we all need energy, we need intelligence, and we want to be in service of all the other people that we are serving, whether it's our clients, whether it's our family, whoever it is. Yeah. So the question then becomes, so let me share with you why I'm saying this, not only from my own perspective, but research proves that positivity has a positive impact on many of our outcomes. When we are more positive, then it actually builds our immunity. Who's looking at immunity now? We all are. When we are more positive, we live longer lives, and those lives are filled with more happiness and joy. But what's also interesting, and what I think is a real ROI for us, especially in the corporate world, is that positivity also has an impact on business. Sean Aker, who's the gentleman that you see up there, he's a gentleman that we really, SHRDC and the Change Business, we really believe in Sean's work, and we actually have a workshop that Sean's created. This is what he found. He found that more positive people did better on business results. More positive people sold 37% more. They had 37% higher sales. Now, this is not a figure that we've picked out of a book. We know of a partner who worked with an insurance company in Malaysia. Over 6 months, they focused on helping their people be more positive. And guess what? At the end of 6 months, they saw a 30% increase in sales. This is something that we have seen work. You're also 31% more productive when you're more positive. And the one that I find most interesting, 19% more accurate. And this figure actually comes from a study that was done of doctors. And they found that when doctors were put into a more positive state before they met the patient, they were 19% more likely to make an accurate diagnosis. Not only that, they made it faster. So what does that mean for you? If you have a grumpy doctor, change him. This is not the time that we need to be less accurate in areas of our life. So exactly what we said, not only do we want that intelligence, that energy, that ability to serve others, but it has actual ROI in business results for us. So the question is, okay, I get it. But the question is, what exactly is positivity? Because this word might mean different things to different people. So I'm curious, what does positivity mean to you? Would you like to just put it in the chat box? I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about, what does positivity mean to you? Any responses? Being happy? That's one. Please post your comments in chat. So if you look at, yeah, productivity, moving ahead, being free, there are so many ways that we can be positive. So here's the thing. There's one thing that we need to remember. There are some things that it's not. And it's important for us to remember, especially in these times. Yeah, everything's also possible. Stop worrying about things that's not in your control. Seeing things from a different perspective. Really great definitions. I think it's important for us to look at what it's not, because especially in these times, these are times when we're really facing a lot of challenge, and those are bringing up negative emotions in us. So we want to let you know that positivity is not about having a happy, smiling face all the time. That's not even possible. What we are facing is very real. These are tough times, and we have these negative emotions. It's not about just wishing that our problems would go away. It's not also about pretending that issues don't exist. So this is not about saying to somebody, cheer up. That's not positivity. In that, you're not acknowledging your real emotions. So positivity is about knowing where we actually are, and at the same time, noticing how could we be more positive, because positivity might mean different things to different people. What we like to define positivity as though is this ability to see reality and at the same time believe and keep going and hope for a better future. Kind of like what you've put in the chat box. So I know that the people here, you already know what real positivity is. And we all might have our own brands of positivity. For some, it might mean confidence. For some, it might mean calmness. For some, it might mean being enthusiastic and energetic. For others, it might mean being playful. It might mean being focused. It might mean being grateful. And even for you, at different points in your day and at different points in your life, it might mean any of these things. Positivity could be a lot more than being happy and clappy. Yeah. So there's one thing though that we need to note. And before I get to that though, I want to tell you a story. This is a story about a car salesman, and not just any car salesman. He used to sell luxury cars. In fact, the car that he sold the most was the Infiniti, which is a luxury brand from Nissan. Now, this story didn't happen today. It didn't happen anytime recently. This is a story that we were told by our business coach, who's based out of Canada. And he told us the story of John. John's not really his name, but I'm going to just use it for now. And John sold luxury cars, and he was making a lot of money, a lot of commissions. As he was doing that, the future was looking bright. Not only that, John really enjoyed his job. He enjoyed meeting clients. He enjoyed figuring out which was the perfect model for them, that interaction. He loved going to the showroom. He loved interacting with his colleagues. All of that. John was really in a good space. And then something happened. The financial crisis of 2008. So now you know when the story happened, a few years ago, a different crisis, but in a way similar, because suddenly John's life looked very different from what it had looked like earlier. From being in flow and a lot of money coming in, it looked like his sales would be going down, down, down. Not only that, he was surrounded by negative news. Anytime he switched on the TV, it was about people who'd lost their homes. It was about how much loss businesses had made. If he went to the showroom, then his colleagues would be talking about how people don't have money to spend at the moment for cars. And all of this was making him feel very depressed. He didn't know what to do. And in that state, he came to this gentleman who used to be our business coach. And when he came there, then this is what our business coach told him. John, he said, you don't get to choose the circumstances. You only get to choose your response. We don't get to choose our circumstances. We only get to choose our response. And being more positive is about getting better with our ability to respond, our response ability. Because here's the thing, positivity is a choice. It's a choice we need to make consciously, especially in stressful times. It's a choice to respond differently. And this is not a choice that you make just once in your life. This is a choice that we might need to make daily. This is a choice that we might sometimes need to make hourly. But it is a choice, and it is in our hands to choose to be positive. You already know why. The question though now is how? In these kind of times where I am extremely busy, when I am looking at a lot of challenges, then how can I be positive? So we're going to share with you a few things that you could do. 3 practices. Sharing a cup, appreciating your cup, and filling your own cup first. So in order to share with you these practices, I'd like you to do something. Okay? Could you take out your smartphones, please? Yeah? Just take out your smartphones. And here's what I would like you to do. On that smartphone, I want you to just flip through the most recent photos that you have and choose what's your current favorite. What's your current favorite photo at the moment? I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that. Look through that phone app. Choose that favorite photo. And while you do that, let me share with you my favorite. This is a photo that was actually taken at SHRDC. This was a workshop we did at the beginning of March. COVID-19 had started, so that's why you see some masks, but we were still doing workshops in person. I personally really enjoy my work, and just looking at this photo brings a smile to my face. It reminds me of the camaraderie that we had in this group, the interaction that we had over 2 days. All of that, the memories come flooding back. I also have another favorite. It's here, and I'm going to share it with you. These are my kids. It was again during COVID-19 because my son hasn't had a haircut for a while, and my daughter was teasing him about it. I cheated. I chose 2, but I'm curious. What was your current favorite? Could you let me know during using the chat function? What were some of the things that came up in your favorite photo? What's your favorite photo of? Describe it in the chat. What do you have? Ivy had scenery, sunrise and sunset, being out in nature. Holidays, the latest trip, autumn leaves, beautiful. Family. Maybe the holiday was also with family. Okay. Marzan says, my son is using the phone. Okay. A sing-along with friends. Yeah. Now, you know, when we do this in our workshops, there's something that we find. Actually, there are a couple of things that I want to share with you. One is, guess what? Happiness is in the palm of your hand, in the smartphone. When you look at any memory that was a good memory for you, it brings a smile to your face. It gives you that small burst of positivity instantly. Second thing that we find in our workshops is that 70 to 80% of the time, those photos are of people, of family, of friends, of holidays with friends, of meals with people. It's about people. People for us are a great source of positivity. The people that, of course, we get energy from. So that's practice number one. Connect with people. When you connect with people authentically, genuinely, then that increases your positivity. Would you agree? Sharing a cup with a friend, whether it's a cup of tea or a glass of wine or anything, just a glass of water perhaps, but sharing a cup with somebody increases our energy. It makes us feel positive and energized. So we need to remember in these times that social distancing doesn't mean being socially distant. How can we reach out to these people? Well, you have these wonderful devices. Again, happiness is in the palm of your hand. You can call them, you can WhatsApp them, you can interact with them. Even in the corporate situations, we are finding more and more corporates are actually looking at doing things like virtual coffees or virtual meetings where people can get together and just have a little bit of a chit chat. What has been happening as we work at our homes is that work usually gets done. What we miss from being in the office is those interactions in the corridors, the chit chat that we had with our colleagues. And by actually adding activities that could enable you to have that, you can increase positivity at your workplace, even virtually. And of course, there's that final piece. Connect with the people in your home right now, whether it's kids or parents or roommates, connect with them. And it will make you feel more positive and energized. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is practice number one. Connect with people. For practice number two, I still have something I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to look around wherever you're sitting, whether it's in your bedroom, your living room, in the car, wherever you are. Look around. Do you see one thing at least that brings a smile to your face? What is it? Could you use the chat function to let me know? What are some of the things you notice as you just look around? Yeah. Stella Lee can see her little garden. Books. Wow. I love books too, John. A sofa. Favorite food. A coffee mug, which I got from a visit to Boston's Harvard University. Well, guess what, Roshini? I have something very similar. A cup. It sits on my desk. It's the cup that I drink my water from. And it also has a really lovely memory for me because this was a cup that was gifted to me by a friend, a university friend that I met. I mean, we lost touch and then I met her 20 years later in Australia. So this cup holds not only water, but a lot of memories. If you look at all the things, okay, we have dim sum as well. Dim sum food can absolutely make us more positive, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. So, yeah, the view, baking. There are so many things in our lives right now that can help us be positive. That we can just reach out with our hands right now, with our eyes right now. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is practice number two. Appreciating what we have, appreciating our cups. So what do I have as a suggestion? Something that can help us get into the habit of appreciation? Well, I would suggest that even right now, you make a list. Make a list of 3 things, just 3 things that you appreciate that are in your life right now, that are at work right now. Now, this, by the way, is something you can do even at work. One of the companies that we know that we've worked with, they've started a practice. They have a practice rather, even before COVID-19, of starting all meetings with a simple question. what's good and new? It's not a big answer that you're expected to give, just 10 to 20 seconds. It has to be something about your personal life. And you just share what's good and new in your life right now. And those 10 to 20 seconds at the beginning of the meeting, where everybody gets to share, help them to increase their positivity, to appreciate what's there. So I am going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to create a list. What are 3 things you can appreciate in your life right now? And then tomorrow, add to that list. Day after, add to that list. Just 3 things at a time. And you might find that the list grows a lot longer than you thought it was possible. Practice number 3 is about filling your own cup first. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's not selfish to refill your cup first, because if you don't have anything to give, then you can't be in service to others. So the first thing we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is self-care. And it is a challenge in these times as we're working from home, as we're trying to deal with these new situations at work. So we're not going to recommend that you do something very big. What we're going to ask you to do is think about what's one activity that energizes you and schedule some time in the day for it. It might be something as simple as 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And this is something that we found really adds energy to your whole day, it adds positivity to your whole day when you're taking care of yourself first. You could do something that you used to do but haven't done in a while. So one of our clients in China who came out of 2 months of lockdown, and their lockdown was extremely intense. They were not even allowed to leave their home. After 2 months of lockdown, she told us, you know what? It was a gift. Because when I was at home, I was able to play the piano. I used to love playing the piano, but it's been a really long time since I had the time to do that. So she found energy and positivity in playing the piano. She even was able to share it with her little daughter and play with her. And that gave her a lot of joy in the midst of 2 months of complete lockdown. We heard from another friend. She and her family used to actually enjoy going out for karaoke, but now no karaoke. So what they started doing was having singing sessions at home. As a family, and their kids are 9 and 3, they all get together and sing together without all of the karaoke systems. And you know what? It's just as much fun. It brings positivity into all of their lives. And over there, Vivian tells me I can now cook several kinds of foods, which is what a gentleman told me he has started doing. Started learning a skill that he never did before, cooking for himself. And now he can cook several kinds of foods, and he's discovered he actually enjoys cooking. So what, ladies and gentlemen, would be that one activity that you can add to your day that energizes you, that helps you to be more positive? Do you have any ideas? Let's hear them in chat. What would you like to put in chat? What are some things that you can do, even as the circumstances are right now, that can help you to be more positive? What suggestions? What are things that you're already doing, perhaps? I'm sure many of you, it's been more than a month, many of you are already doing things. What are some of the things that you're doing? What activities are you adding to your day that help you be more positive? Okay, Zaleha says, online shopping. Okay. Exercise, meditation, cooking, baking, attending this kind of a training. Absolutely. The other wonderful thing that's happened is that you can attend webinars from anywhere in the world. Do you know NASA has some amazing webinars that you can attend? Exercise? Yeah, absolutely. So you have ideas already, and you might come up with a few more. So that, ladies and gentlemen, are our suggestions for what you can do to be more positive. But some of you might have this question. what happened to that car salesman? I kind of left that dangling, right? So, well, remember, positivity is a choice. We don't get to choose our circumstances. We just get to choose our response. John decided to make that choice. He decided that he is going to build positivity in his life. And he started going back to his old files. He started looking through the files at the clients and remembering the clients, the memories of what he really enjoyed about his job. And as he did that, he started realizing that he hadn't connected with some of them in a while. So he started reaching out and just connecting with them without any hope for a sale, just because that was something that gave him positive energy. People connections. He started connecting to people and meeting them. That was 2008, so he could meet them physically. We can still meet people virtually. And the more that he met, the more positive he started feeling, because he really used to enjoy that part of his job. He also started going back to the showroom and started looking at what could he do? How could he help his other colleagues out? How could he contribute to making the showroom better? And as he started doing small positive acts and small random acts of kindness for his colleagues and reaching out, guess what? It was like there was a ripple effect. And everybody in the showroom started feeling better, feeling more positive. They started feeling more energetic. And the showroom became a really pleasant place to be. And it started attracting customers, because customers were like, we want to have what they have in there. And they started walking in, and guess what happened? In that period, when sales were low, when there was a crisis happening, John sold 13 Infiniti cars, 13 luxury cars, which was one of his best performances ever, because he practiced positivity. He made the choice to be positive. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I come to the end of what I would like to share with you. A quick reminder of what we've talked about. We've talked about the fact that positivity is a choice. Make it your choice. Make it your choice by doing simple practices, simple things that can help you increase your level of positivity. Share your cup, whether it's with friends, colleagues, or the people at home. Appreciate your cup. Appreciate what's in your life right now. And remember always to fill your own cup first. With that, I'd like to say thank you for filling my cup, and wishing you all the best. We're open for questions, and please feel free to ask me anything at all. Yeah, John, I like the fact that you're saying that the daily 3 idea is a good takeaway. Yeah. Imagine writing 3 things takes less than 30 seconds, but they can add a lot of positivity to your day.
Thank you, Meenakshi. That was a great session. If you have any questions, you can post them in the chat box or in the Q&A box. I'll now pass it over to my colleague, Elin.
Thank you, Eza. Thank you, Meenakshi. That was really, really good session for all of us, I believe. And we've got one question from Stella. How to manage negative staff?
Okay. So, Stella, here's what we like to say. People don't get up in the morning, put on their clothes and say, okay, today I'm going to be negative. Usually when somebody is being negative, it's because they are, there's something going on for them. And especially right now, there's a lot of challenge that they are facing. So one thing that really helps is for us to remember that negativity is probably got another cause. There's something below that that's causing them to behave in a way. So the behavior is not nice. The behavior is not something that you want to see in your office, but it is something that's arising because there's a reason for it. So as a colleague or as a manager, it could be a good idea to actually coach them a bit, to help them and just unpack a little bit of what's going on. Why are they reacting in that way that they are reacting in? And then you could gently ask them, so what do you want happening instead? What are some of the results that you want to see? And the more you help them move towards the positive, the more they're going to be able to be positive. But overall, we need to remember one thing. There's only one person in this world that we can change. Guess where that person is?
Ourselves.
Ourselves, absolutely. So how do we change? How do we be more positive so that that ripple effect goes out? And it's amazing. We've noticed it in many organizations. When you are more positive, when you are able to be more accepting of other people who are more negative and you can just ask them coaching questions, the relationship changes and they can be more positive too.
All right, thank you, Meenakshi, for that. Yeah. We've got another related question, so I'll go to the related question first from Norizan from McFood. How to influence others to be more positive without them realizing it? I think that's probably, yeah.
Okay, so Norizan, I'm curious to know, why should they not realize it?
How do you do it invisibly?
How do you do it invisibly? Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious, why should they not realize it? But anyway, here's the thing. If you look at the practices that I've shared with you today, it's not as if these are complex or these are things that you need to explain very much. For example, if you started introducing this idea of what's good and new in your meetings, you don't have to explain, I am now working towards making you more positive. You could just say something as simple as, you know what, let's bring in a little bit of fun into this meeting, or let's bring in a little bit more positivity into this meeting. I have an idea. My idea is that we can start with what's good and new. Do you have any ideas? And maybe they might have even better ideas. And you're not really starting a campaign to make them positive, but helping them think differently. And when they think differently, they will feel differently.
All right, I think Noriza also followed up with a question. She said, because some people that she knows, they run away when she tries.
Okay, so I don't know those people, Noriza, so I can't give you a very specific answer. But usually when people run away, it's because that relationship, that connection doesn't yet exist for us to influence them. Influence typically happens when you already have a relationship and a connection. And I would then say, let's work on building that relationship. Let's build on building the team first, and then we can influence them.
All right.
Remember, yeah.
Thank you for that. Hi, Riam. Thanks for your question. How to handle staff who resist change?
Okay. I think, Riam, your question might have been answered by what I just shared.
Yes.
Because there's only one person that you can change, and that finger actually points this way. It's really important for us to know what is it that is causing them to resist change. In fact, at SHRDC, we have a workshop that we do, which is called Change Leadership. Our iceberg is melting. And in that, when we sit, we do a little activity where we start listing down all the reasons why people may be resisting change. This is a workshop I do in Malaysia. So and Singapore. So in this region. And very often that list is like 14, 15, maybe even more than that items. There are very different reasons why people resist change. It's really important for us to know why that particular person is resisting change, and then looking at how you can help them to address that, maybe coaching them through it.
All right, let's move to the chat box where we have a few more questions from TJ Soul. Is there a way to measure positivity? How do you know if someone is positive or negative? Is that based on how we view their behaviors? So we're talking about measurements right now. Perception.
Perception and measurement. And is there a way to measure positivity? Well, there are tests online that you can do. Here's the thing, very often with other people, we can't walk up to them and say, okay, hello, can you do a test here? Some of the tests that I could recommend are the authentic happiness test. That's based on the work done by Martin Seligman. We also have the test. What we can do, Yilin, is actually give you those links to send out in the email. But in a normal situation where you're in office or you're interacting, you're not going to be able to walk up to somebody and say, could you do a test, right? So I don't think there's a measure exactly of whether somebody is positive or negative. We can definitely have a measure for ourselves. Any moment in time that you check in with yourself, you are going to be able to answer that question. Am I feeling positive or am I feeling negative? It's important to remember that other people might have different brands of positivity than you. They might have different behaviors of positivity than you. So a good thing to do is to just check in with them and actually ask them that simple question. How are you feeling right now? Positive or negative? It's just two answers.
Thank you for that. And we've got some comments back from our audience as well. Lee says that any good way to, I think that's a question, any good way to remind ourselves to be positive? And I think you've answered that. It's how you measure your own feeling and Pamela has said that, you can't control others to a great extent, but positivity can cause a ripple effect. You infect others with your positivism, so to speak.
Absolutely. Positivity is as infectious as COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen. Please note.
Yes, and Roshini added to say that usually change resistance is due to fear and anxiousness, but and people respond with difficult emotional response. Yeah. All right, we've got one more question in the Q&A box from Wiwin from Indonesia. Some people don't like things like online. Yeah, some people don't like online meetings. How can we encourage them to be positively involved in online meetings? Because these days we don't really have a choice.
Okay, so I'm wondering. Yeah, well, here's the thing. The same rules apply in online meetings as they are in face-to-face meetings. Connection. One simple trick that we've learned is to ask for videos to be on. Set expectations before the meeting that we will expect videos to be on, and ask people during the meeting to keep their videos on. It instantly brings their focus completely into the meeting. Starting something like what I just shared about, what's good in you, or adding a little bit of the personal into the work also really helps. When we are looking at the whole person and not only at their work person, then there's a lot more chance of connection between the two, and that leads to better communication, better rapport, pretty much better meetings. We've also noticed that with meetings, it's good to kind of have a different meeting host and a different person who's taking care of all the technical issues, because there's somebody that needs to be taking care of, letting people in, making sure people are muted, unmuted, all of that, even in small meetings between colleagues. So just keeping that separate also helps. I hope that answers your question and gives you a few tips.
Okay, we have a question from Sok Ling. How do we instill positivity? I think that's quite similar to influencing others to be positive.
Yes, yeah.
And we've answered that.
It has a ripple effect. It really does. It's infectious.
Okay, Mr. Chia Tak Wing, do you think a reward system can encourage team positivity, or can it result in false and temporary positivity? I guess he's talking about KPIs. And, in terms of the dangling carrot effect, perhaps?
So I think the question that I would have is how would you reward positivity? You would typically be rewarding KPIs or targets, and those are short-term bursts, because when you achieve something, achievement is a great positive emotion. then people feel an increase of positivity. But that is temporary, if I was to think about it. Let me give that a bit of a thought. Can a reward system encourage team positivity? Well, usually we like to say that when you tie something to a reward, then over a period of time, what happens is that when you withdraw the reward, you lose whatever it is, whatever the culture or the habit that you were trying to build. This is coming from research. What they found was that this is actually based on Malcolm Gladwell's research. And what he found was that when a reward was attached to something, so something as simple as the 10,000 steps, right? When you get rewarded for hitting the 10,000 steps, it increases your level of achievement, you feel positive. They realized that when they removed the reward, and the reward didn't need to be money, it could just be like, shooting stars or something on your Fitbit. They realized that when they removed the reward, people stopped going for the 10,000 steps. So that's a drawback that you need to think about.
So just to expand, this is a question from me, just to expand from the earlier question, then how do you, beyond the reward system, which has its own milestones and timelines to achieve a certain objective, set of objectives, how do you sustain sort of an overall, if you like, inspiration to instill that within teams at workplace? That overall, this is something that we strive for, and it is a sustained objective. It is something constant.
Absolutely. So, Yelin, I'm going to say, come for the Orange Frog workshop. The short answer.
That's a really good ending. Good answer.
But really, what the Orange Frog workshop, which is one of the workshops that SHRDC runs very successfully, it's called the Happiness Advantage Orange Frog workshop. It focuses on the fact that you need to build a culture of positivity. You need to create, like in individuals, like for what I was talking about today, for individuals, we're creating habits of positivity, right? Habits of connecting with people, habits of appreciating what we have in our lives, of scheduling things in, creating repetitive habits. For organizations, habits are work routines. So you need to look at how can we incorporate those things that build positivity into our work routines. How can we build people connections in the things that we do every day, like checking in or, meetings? How do we put it into emails? How do we do things differently within our organization so that it can help the whole team lift their positivity?
All right, thank you. I'll just do a quick summary of what we've discussed and what you've shared this morning. The primary things is to look at to remember the 3 tips that you've shared with us: connect with people, surround ourselves with positive people, and share the positive energies around. Appreciate our own cup. Think about the things that make us feel good and happy, and those things will sustain us in the long run. And filling our own cup. Self-care, that's very important. We must help ourselves. We must stay positive before we can help others, before we can serve others. With that, I think we've answered all the questions in the Q&A box as well as the chat box. Thank you very much, Meenakshi, and ladies and gentlemen, I'll hand the session back to Iza.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you both. Yeah. Before we go, we'd just like to launch a quick poll, and would really appreciate if everybody could just spare some time to answer the poll. And we'd really like to thank everybody for joining us in today's session. If you do have any questions, or if you would like to contact us, you can do so with the contact information on your screens right now, or get in touch with your respective SHRDC contacts. We'd be more than happy to answer anything.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's been a pleasure being with you virtually.